Hello everyone, in this video I want to set up a starting GraphQL and React and MongoDB application. So you have queries from React pulling data from MongoDB and displaying it in the console. So that's what we're going to end up with. And let's get started. The fully working source code is available at github.com/truthseekers/mongo-graphql-react-starter, and you can just clone that repository and then npm install and start the API and the UI, and you should be good to go. Also, please subscribe to the channel by clicking this link, or if you're on YouTube, just click the subscribe button, and then also check out this link to support our channel and what we're trying to do. So I'm going to call this project Mongo GraphQL-React-Starter, and then we're going to change into that directory, and then we're going to create a React app. So npx create React app, and I'm going to call it UI. And then while this is going on another window, I'm going to go back into it. Tutorials and GraphQL. Oh wait, no, it's Mongo GraphQL React Starter. I'm gonna be in this window again, and then we're gonna make the server. So I'm gonna just call it API. You can call it whatever you want. So we'll cd into that, and then we're basically just gonna build out our API. So npm init-y. And that will create our package in package.lock.json file. And then we need the following packages. We're going to need .env to handle our environment variables, mongoose to handle MongoDB, and then I prefer to use Apollo Server Express. So npm install Apollo Server Express. Okay, so now let's cd back into the Mongo GraphQL React Starter and just open up the entire project. And then I'm going to put that down here. And so we got the API and the UI in separate folders under this same project here. And then what I would like to do is take this gitignore file from the UI, and I'm just going to move it out into the main folder that contains both of them. And I think there is a way to have gitignore in both of these and just handle them, but I'm not going to worry or think about that. I don't actually know. So I'm going to move all of this into its own. I'm going to move all of these to handle the UI, and then I'm going to add separate ones for the API. Okay, I updated all of those. Sorry, I don't actually remember how to do multiple cursors. I'm too lazy to look that up right now. So anyway, we also need the .env for the UI because we're going to have an env file there. So UI/.env, and then for the API, we need /API/node modules, and then /API/.env, and this just hides files so we don't have secret information visible from the env files, and then also the node module packages, we want to hide those from the repository as well. So we'll save that, and I think that's it. That should adjust. Why is that not adjusting? Okay, so I think what I need to do is actually get rid of the .git file in the UI. So I have this open in another folder. You can do that from the terminal if you want, but I'm just going to get rid of .git. And then that should fix this. Okay, so I don't know why it's not adjusting. Let me just close it out and then open it back up, hopefully, because none of them are repositories at this point. So code dot in the Mongo GraphQL React Starter to open up the whole thing. Okay, so it looks like that worked. So now we'll go ahead and initialize the repository. So git init in the Mongo GraphQL React. And we got about 20 packages, so that is okay for me. I'm going to say done, well, start. Okay, so we are ready to start working on the rest of the project. So let's go into our API, and then we can create our index.js file. So API, and then src, and then index.js file in the API. So we're first going to set that up. And so we need Apollo server from Apollo Server Express. And then we're going to need HTTP and Express. And if you look at the documentation for Apollo Server Express, they'll actually tell you, they'll get you most of the way. So there's a full example here in the docs. If you click that, then we can see this is pretty much the starting setup for Apollo Server Express. And I diverged a little bit from this, so I don't remember why exactly I diverged. There are a few other things that I wanted to update to that though, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it on my own, but you can check that out if you get stuck or anything like that. Anyway, so what we're going to start out with is just creating the Apollo server. So I'm going to say const server equals new Apollo server. And then we need our type defs, resolvers, and then we're going to add some plugins later on. So let's add type defs and then resolvers. And then these are basically the schema of what GraphQL looks like. So let's create a resolvers and a type defs file here. So in src, I'm going to create resolvers.js and then type defs.js. And so in resolvers, we're just going to give a query for now. So I'm going to say const query equals, and this is just going to be a hello world at this point. Okay, so that should be good. And then const resolvers equals query, and then module.exports resolvers. So we'll save that. Hopefully that will work. So in our index, we can import resolvers from resolvers. And then we also need to import the type defs, which doesn't exist yet. So import type defs from type defs. And then we need to create the type defs file. So let's go over to our type defs. And then we're going to import GQL. So const GQL from, Apollo Server Express. And then we just need to create our type defs using that GQL package. So type defs equals GQL. And then in here, we're just going to say type query hello, and the hello resolver returns a string. And that should be it for now. So module.exports equals type defs, save, and then okay. So now if we do an npm start in our API, we'll at least, oh, wait, I gotta have a start script. So in our package, we'll do start and then npm nodemon, actually, src/index.js, so we can actually start up the app. So we'll do that, and then let's try npm start again. Okay, cannot import resolvers. Oops. Let's go back to our index file. Say const and const equals require equals require. Okay, so that should work. Save. Okay, and basically nothing's happening because we don't really have anything else happening in here. So we have our server, but we need to start the server up. So we could run something like server.start, but it's going to tell us that we need to run, well, it's supposed to tell us that we need to run await in front of it. So what we end up needing to do is creating a start server function. So, and then we can use async in this function. So start server equals async. And then we can move this server.start into this function, and then we can call await on it to make sure that the server is fully started first before doing anything else. And then in here is where we can connect to Mongo and all of that kind of stuff. So let's actually try to start the server. I'm not actually sure what's going to happen. So start server, and then maybe console.log hi, just to see. Save, and okay, we do get hi, but pretty sure it's not going to work if we try to go to localhost 4000. So localhost 4000, GraphQL, definitely not going to work. So we have to set up Express because Apollo Server Express relies on the Express package. So what we're going to do now is pull in Express. So we're going to say const app equals Express. And so now we have our Express server and our Apollo server, and we can attach because this Apollo server Express obviously requires or relies on Express. So we have to connect them together somehow. And the way that we do that is after the await server.start, we can do server.apply middleware and then app. So that will attach the GraphQL server to the Express server. And then from here, we just need to start up the Express server. So underneath, well, I can just get rid of this console log hi, or maybe keep it, I don't know. So we're gonna need to start up the Express server. So we do that with app.listen, and then we have to define a port. So I'm gonna say 4000, and then we have a function here that basically just says console.log, and we can say GraphQL server ready at HTTP localhost. Well, we can set this up in an environment variable if you want. So process.env.port, and then after that, server.graphql path. So this is defined by the Apollo server. So we're just getting the GraphQL path here. And so we'll save that. And then we should get something like ready at localhost undefined because we haven't set up our environment variable yet /GraphQL. But the port is defined here. So app.listen port. So if we go to 4000 /GraphQL, then we should be able to see our GraphQL server. So let's do localhost 4000 GraphQL. Okay, and so ready to explore your GraphQL. That means we are where we need to be. So if you hit query your server, then we end up at this like GraphQL UI thingy that they have set up for us. And so let's try our query. So we have, okay, failed to fetch. And it looks like, well, you can install a diagnosis tool, but I'm just going to hit this prefer to self-diagnose. It says response may be missing cores headers, and that makes sense because we have our server set up, but this is studio.apollo.graphql.com, and we haven't given the server this URL as something that has permissions to access that server. And so we need to set that up with cores, just like we need to do that for our front end of the app as well. So what we need to do is add our endpoint, or add that as one of the cores options. So in here, in our index, we're going to create a cores options. So const cores options equals, and then also for cookies in the future, we're going to set credentials to true. But the interesting part here that we need, or the immediate part that we need, is this origin. And so you can do a single origin or you can do an array. So I'm going to say HTTPS, and I forgot the URL. So I'm just going to copy this URL. We're going to say studio.apollo.graphql.com is one of the options available. So now we also have to use this cores options, and we use that in this apply middleware. So app, and then cores is going to be set to cores options. So let's save that, and then we'll try again. So I'm going to refresh, and hopefully, okay, and it appears that it's still not working because I'm thinking because of this slash at the end. So if I get rid of that, save, and then come over here and refresh, we get hello. Well, we get our query, but we don't have that error message anymore. So if I run, then we get hello, hello. So this appears to be working. And just to kind of clarify here, what's happening with this origin and the cores, we're basically saying what URLs or endpoints, not endpoints, what URLs are allowed to access this server and make requests. So we didn't have studio.apollo.graphql.com as in the list of URLs that are allowed to access the server. So this origin and cores options is how we set up the allowed URLs that are allowed to make requests. And so we're going to have the same issue with our front end if we don't add the front end URL to this as well. So, but anyway, that's cores. And so we have a working server. There's one more thing before we start working on the connection to Mongo and React, and that's the HTTP drain server or whatever that Apollo GraphQL recommends. And I haven't actually tried to work with the app without it, but I do want to just kind of show you it. So drain HTTP server plugin, it talks about what it does. It basically just helps the server shut down gracefully. So again, I haven't tried without it. I've just kind of done what they told me. So in here, we're going to pull in the plugin from Apollo Server Core, and that actually means I think we need to install Apollo Server Core. And actually, this is a good time to install the other things that they recommended. So Apollo Server Core, Express, and GraphQL. So I'm going to go back to my server. And then I'm going to run npm install apollo-server-core, and then Express and GraphQL. Just to kind of make sure that we're on the same page as the app. So, okay, so we've done that. And now let's use Apollo Server Core. So over here, in our index, we're going to get const Apollo server plugin drain HTTP server equals require Apollo server core. So we're pulling this package from Apollo server core. And then basically we just need to use this as a plugin in the Apollo server. So under resolvers, we have a plugins array. And then we can say Apollo server plugin drain HTTP server. And then we need to create, so I don't actually know why we can't just use app, but this is just kind of one of the things that I'm just going to do what they tell me. So HTTP server, and then we need to create this HTTP server, and underneath this app we can say const HTTP server equals HTTP dot create server, and then we're going to pass in the express server that we created earlier. So I don't actually know the details of what's going on there. It seems like we have 3 different servers that are kind of like being smushed into one. So I'm just going to leave it as it is and just kind of not worry about it. But I'll hit save, and then we can restart this thing and make sure that it still works. Let's go back. Well, actually, let's go to localhost 4000 GraphQL, query your server, and it looks like we are still working. So now we're ready to work on MongoDB and React. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified when we release new tutorials. Also be sure to like the video and leave a comment to let us know what you think. Lastly, check out the link or links in the description. We usually create a blog post to go with the tutorial, and we might have a newsletter or course or something to check out as well. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.